Senator, Majority Leader, and congratulations on being in leadership. But tell us, Janae, what motivated you? Why get in public service?
So I love to help people. And at the last 2 months, right before the mandates were lifted for the COVID vaccine, I was fired. I worked the entire pandemic and I was able to kind of navigate around it. And the biggest thing for me was the fact that no one was standing up for my rights the way that I stand for my patients. I would have been fired. Yes, I'm an operating room nurse. And so by not standing for me was just like me not standing for my patients. And that's not what we do in healthcare. And so that ultimately is really what spurred me into running for office. They say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Try that with a nurse, right?
Right.
You took away my beloved profession. Well, then I need to go down to the Capitol and make sure this never happens to anyone else. This isn't about any kind of retribution. This is about making sure to protect the people that are out there working every day for the health of our state.
Yeah. So as a nurse, as a healthcare professional, a nurturer, a healer, right? You're all about making people well, keeping them safe. When it comes to the issue of dangerous illegal aliens who don't belong in this country anyway, and on top of them trespassing into our land, they commit crimes. Is your nursing background part of what motivates you to take leadership on that issue?
Yeah, probably. I think that I'm a nurse to the core of my being. I think that's how God built me. Growing up in a hospital with a sick parent, I think it was inevitable that I would become an RN. But what happens when the public relies on its government to protect them from criminals and our government fails us, our federal government under the Biden administration completely failed us, then yeah, that kind of spurred me into action. You know, I don't think anyone can ever say Laken Riley's name enough. And I feel horrible for all of the other families that have lost their sons, their daughters, their granddaughters, nieces, nephews. I mean, we have lost so many people to violent crime that could have been completely prevented if they would have just not been allowed into the country, if they would have been held for shoplifting crimes, because the man who killed Laken Riley had been arrested in New York. And then our own government flew him to Georgia, where he raped and murdered a beautiful nursing student. She was moving forward with her life to give to others, to be of service, and he robbed her of that. And so the countless stories, I could go on and on about the stories, but Laken is personal for, I think, a lot of Americans in the fact that she was just a young, beautiful, vibrant nursing school student that was just completely robbed of her life.
I think you're right. Listen, every preventable crime is a tragedy, every one of them. But that one, I think, was particularly horrific because of her age, because it happened in the middle of the day on a seemingly safe campus of the University of Georgia. So there just were a lot of aspects that made that one particularly troubling to so many millions of Americans. But, I think the point is in analyzing that, in promoting that story, meaning people have to be aware of it, not promotion from the sense that we in any way validate what happened there. The opposite. It's preventing more tragedies like that from happening again. And it's happening here in Arizona. You're a border state. And here in Arizona, people have been seriously wounded, killed, have had their lives really negatively impacted by dangerous illegal aliens.
Absolutely. One of the things that I started putting out was hashtag every state's a border state. It's not just Arizona. And Laken proved that. Her murder proved that. But when you're in the operating room and you have a woman come in and you can no longer tell her lower parts from each other, that changes you forever. When you see a woman who has been tied to a tree and raped over and over and over, and we collect over 64 samples of different DNA from her, when I look into her eyes, not only do I know physically she will never be right again, emotionally she'll never be right again. And this is somebody that was lured into coming across the border to be smuggled for a better life. And so I argued that that is actually anti-humanitarian, that we are allowing people to get put into those situations. What was happening to women and children coming across there, it's disgusting. And to be okay with that, and then to argue that, well, it's humanitarian, they're coming here for a better life. I would never begrudge anybody wanting a better life. But when they're put in harm's way, when they're lured into a situation where they're going to be brutalized, that's not okay with me. That's not humanitarian. And that's just another side of the crisis, not just a crisis of what's happening to American citizens by these criminals coming across and doing heinous things. And there's a lot of conversation about, well, most of the people that are coming across, they're just here for a better life. Well, just one. If it was your family member, would you not argue that that doesn't matter?
Right. That every single illegal alien crime is 100% preventable.
100% preventable. And isn't that what it means to be an American citizen, to have your government protect you, to have your police protect you? That's what it means. The number one job of the government is for the health and safety of its citizens, whether that be the federal government or the state. I take that very seriously.
Speaking of the state's role, here in Arizona, you have, I think, a very effective legislature, thankfully. A lot of people like you who love this country, who want to protect the citizens of Arizona. But things are a little different in the governor's office here. Am I right?
Yes. Things are very different. We are in divided government. And the first bill that we put on her desk last session was the Secure the Border Act. And so I ran it on the Senate side, and Speaker Montenegro ran it on the House side. Those were the first two bills that we sent up. We did the procedural things so that they both went up at the same time. She vetoed them both. So what we did is we came back and we sent it to the ballot. And it passed at the ballot 64%. 64% of Arizonans want the border secured. And still to this day, when we're in committee, just yesterday, I got a little riled up in committee because they want to talk about racial profiling. They want to talk about a bill that came through 10, 20 years ago. They don't want to talk about the reality of what's happening in neighborhoods now. That bags of fentanyl are being found on front porches and 3-year-old kids are picking them up. And all they have to do is touch that fentanyl pill. They go into cardiac arrest. Their little bodies can't handle it. Fentanyl is absorbed through the skin so fast, and it is so quick acting, and it's deadly. That's to continue to have a conversation about racial profiling and that kind of rhetoric is absolutely not in the best interests of the citizens of Arizona. And quite frankly, I think that the governor, as well as the Democrats, are tone deaf to it.
Right.
They're not paying attention to what the citizens are saying. And I don't understand why. They just keep going on and on with their rhetoric. They just cannot get away from it.
And of course, protecting American citizens is not protecting a race. It's protecting a group of people, right? And in the case of Arizona, many of those people, of course, are Hispanics. But they are every bit as American as some white descendant of the Mayflower, right? The point is they both deserve the same protection as American citizens, and particularly here in a border state like Arizona. Now, I'm fascinated by the fact that the referendum was passed that strongly because Arizona is a swing state, right? The whole country every 4 years.
So they say.
Well, okay, for now it's a swing state. But the whole country zeroes in on you guys, right? Because this is such a razor-thin state. And so what that tells me is, as a political operative, as a campaign guy, if you can win that issue with 64% of the vote, then that's an issue that really almost shouldn't have to be debated.
Right.
I mean, is that right?
I would agree with you. Yeah. And, most of the time when we send a referendum to the ballot, there's always groups that are out there supporting it and spending money to make sure that it's talked about. There were no groups. That was flat, just the grassroots talking to people. And the citizens are that informed when it comes to it. So I knock a lot of doors because it's my favorite part, right? I love people. And so my favorite part of being elected is going out and talking to my constituents. And all the doors I knocked, the number one concern was the border.
Really?
Number one concern.
And your constituents are backing what you're doing here.
100%. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
What was the justification that Governor Hobbs gave for vetoing the State Border Act?
She brought up the bill that was passed, 10 years ago. She brought up racial profiling, and she said that this simply isn't what Arizonans want. And then, of course, they proved her wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, regarding President Trump and Tom Homan and the entire new team that means business when it comes to both enforcing the border and internal deportations, what are your hopes, your expectations for what's going to happen now?
I think that President Trump and the team that he has put together is absolutely exactly what we need. The citizens of Arizona are extremely excited to have the border closed, to be able to start to feel safe in their communities. We put together our majority plan, and one of our pillars is making sure that our citizens are safe from their front door to the border. And we need President Trump and Border Czar Tom Homan and Secretary Noem. We need their expertise to get that done for us in Arizona.
Right.
We were willing to act and pass this state trespassing act is ultimately what it was. It's very similar to SB 4. And so the citizens of Arizona are definitely in support of that. And so wholeheartedly, so am I.
Now, the federal government is crucial, of course, in any border issue, but they also need state and local support. Governor Hobbs to the side, notwithstanding, are they going to get it here? Get it from law enforcement, from sheriffs, from beat cops, regular citizens? Are they going to get that support in Arizona?
Oh, they're definitely going to get it. And then what they're also going to get is they're going to get the legislature putting our money where our mouths are, right? So nothing can be done without, the financial wherewithal to be able to do it. So those are currently things that we're looking at the legislature, utilizing closed facilities that we can turn over to the federal government, lease to the federal government to utilize. We have some strike forces that we need to make sure that we fund well enough to be able to help with HIS, with their investigations. And it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of work. And so we are completely invested in helping with that in any way that we can.
Listen, I think that's important. Nobody should underestimate how difficult this task is, because we created such a massive mess, right, with millions and millions of illegals, mostly unvetted, welcomed and incentivized into this country, that the remedy's not easy, right? There's a lot of work to do, expensive, hard work, but we have to do it.
Right.
I mean, we just have to do it.
We have to do it because we have to get these criminals out of our country. They hate us. They have no respect for our laws. They are not here to do good things. They are not here to better their lives. I know that it is a concern that immigration needs reform, but we can't have immigration reform if we don't have a secure border, because without a secure border, we don't have a country. So then what is immigration reform?
Right. I think that's exactly correct, because the people will not trust any so-called immigration reform unless we have first secured the border and accelerated deportations of dangerous people out of this country. Regarding the deportations, the first time I talked to Tom Homan was in the first Trump administration when he was director of ICE. And he told me that the most pressing issue that they had was in so many jurisdictions of the country, particularly blue places, Chicago, New York, that because local law enforcement was not allowed to cooperate with them, when ICE goes to get the bad guys who need to go, they have to go into neighborhoods. They have to go into communities. It's expensive. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for people around, for the officers, where instead of literally the bad guy being handed over in a prison, in a jail, in a secured environment where one ICE agent can go and pick up the bad guy.
Right.
And of course, it just makes total common sense that should be the norm. It's not in some places. Is that going to happen here in Arizona?
Yeah, we're currently working on that. I'd like to see Governor Hobbs actually get on board with helping us with that. There's a few different bills that are working their way through the legislature to help with the coordination and facilitate that. One of them is the ICE Act, and that would allow all law enforcement, whether it's just the sheriffs. There's already 3 county sheriffs that participate in 287G with ICE. And so Maricopa County has someone here as well in the jails to facilitate that. But when we're talking about out with the rest of the law enforcement, we're working on setting some structure up for them so that there's statutorily they know how to interact.
Looking forward politically into 2026. And I know that seems like it's a long way off, but it's really not.
Never is, right?
Yeah, and especially in the world of campaigns. But it seems to me, and look, historically, border issues haven't necessarily been state issues. They haven't been all that hot in gubernatorial races or state legislature races. But now it very much is, and especially for Arizona. Do you anticipate that these issues, deportations, control of the border, sovereignty, are they going to be driving issues in 2026 for your state races here?
I think they're still going to. I do believe that, because I don't think that this is going to be a fix that we get done very quickly. Like, this is going to take some time. It's a big undertaking. I mean, the Biden administration had 4 years to do this. So I think that when it comes down to it in 26, there's citizens of Arizona are still going to be voting on that. And I think that they're also going to be voting on the memory of who was actually working towards trying to get this done when nobody else wanted to. Who was standing in the way of protecting the citizens of Arizona? And I think Governor Hobbs has a lot to answer for.
I know you know President Trump. I've met him many times at rallies and other events. Now that he's in office again, what's your message to him on this issue of migration, deportations, border control, all of it?
My message is, first and foremost, is thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Making America great again isn't just a phrase. Making America healthy again isn't just a phrase. This is about what we truly stand for and at the heart of it, and that patriotism. And I love that about President Trump, that he's woke people up to paying attention, to loving their country and being proud of it, because for some reason we've been taught that we can't be. And I don't understand that. I'm extremely proud to be an American, and I'm proud of all of the benefits and the exceptionalism that we have here. It enables us to help others. I mean, talk about near and dear to my heart.
Right.
So I say keep at it, don't ever stop, and we're with you 100%, boss. That's what I say.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a pretty big birthday in America. Speaking of 2026, America's going to be 250 years old. And it's my hope that for our 250th birthday that we'll see an explosion of patriotism like you're talking about. I think it's already happening. But in addition to that, that we have regained control over the sovereignty of this country, meaning that people only cross the border with our permission and according to our rules. And that those who did previously cross our border illegally, that they will leave. Whether that's on their own volition, and hopefully a lot of it will be self-deportation if we make life difficult for people who don't belong here in the first place. But for the bad guys, for the dangerous ones who probably are not going to leave on their own, that we take the legal action necessary, forceful action to get them the heck out of our country.
We have to. If we're not a country of laws that are followed, then what are we? What happens to our citizens? And in celebrating 250 years, we all have had the conversation about the fact that we're starting to kind of get to the end of when republics truly survive, right? Democracy, different states that have failed after 250 years. So I think we're at a very tenuous time, and I'm truly grateful that President Trump is our president, that he's bringing in the secretaries that he's bringing in to do the work that needs to be done. And I am very much looking forward to the fact that I'm going to get to be at Mount Rushmore for 4th of July this year.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
pretty excited about that. The one nice thing about being a cowboy, we get to travel for the rodeos, right? So when you travel for rodeos, you get to pick your schedule.
Nice.
So that will be a lot of fun.
What a treat. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for everything you're doing. We need more legislators like you all over the country, but you're particularly important here in a border state, in a swing state that we hope is not a swing state after very long. So thank you for your leadership, for everything you're doing for the state and this country.
Thanks for everything, Steve. I appreciate everything you're doing. Showing what's really going on, I think, is important. One of the biggest conversations I have all the time is, how are we communicating? Are we making sure to get our message out? Do people truly understand what's going on? And I think that's very important.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Steve.
it.